Good day, everybody. Today, I'll be taking the lesson of English grammar. Degree of comparison. This is common for 7th and 8th. I'll explain it, and the PDFs are sent separately for 7th standard and 8th standard. Now, degree of comparison, you have done it earlier. It is on degree of comparison means a word which shows what degree it is in. When we compare 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, when we compare the things with the degree, it is called as the degree of comparison. The words can be adjective as well as an adverb. Now there are 3 degrees of comparison. We have positive degree, comparative degree and superlative degree. Positive degree is when we talk about one thing, one person. Comparative, when we compare 2 things or 2 people, and superlative when we talk about 3 or more than 3. This you have done, the list of these you have already done. Tall, we add ER to the comparative and it becomes tallest, EST, tallest. Wide, in comparative, this E is already there. So we don't add E again, we just add R. Wide, wider. And E is already here, so we only add ST, widest. Here we have hot. When we make comparative here, hotter and hottest. Double T is used because before this consonant there is a vowel. A, E, I, O, U are vowels. The rest are consonants. Thin, again N, and before that is I. So, thinner and thinnest. Heavy, when the word ends with Y, we add, the Y becomes I and we add ER. So, heavier and heaviest. Y becomes I and EST, heaviest. Funny, Y is here, so it will become funnier and funniest. Important, there are, for some words, we don't add ER and EST or Y doesn't become I or ER and EST is added. We add important, more important and most important. Same way, fortunate, more fortunate and most fortunate. But there are some exceptions like good. He is a good boy. His friend is better than him. And best is, he is the best child of the class. Bad becomes in comparative worse and worst in superlative. Now, let's make some sentences. Let's talk about tall. The mountains some mountains are tall. The Himalaya, the Aravalli is taller than Mount Abu and tallest. Himalayas is the tallest mountain. Same way, we can say hot. Fire is hot. Sun is hotter than the fire. And we can say sun is the hottest among all the stars. So, it differs when we talk about more than one. So, positive we talk only about one, comparative we talk about 2, and in superlative we talk about 3 or more. Now, here we will fill in the blanks with correct degree of comparison. Gold. Gold is the dash metal. Now, how many metals are there on the earth? There are more than 3 metals. So, gold is the dash metal. We have to use the degree of comparison of heavy. So, more than 3. So, it will be the superlative one, heaviest. Gold is the heaviest metal. Ramesh is as dash as Raj. Now you have to write the degree of comparison of tall. Now here we are talking about Ramesh and Raj. We are comparing Are we comparing Ramesh and Raj? We aren't comparing Ramesh and Raj. We are saying here Ramesh is as tall as dash as Raj. So we are talking about Ramesh and we are talking about Raj. And one thing is common, that is tall. So here it will be, though we are talking about two, we are not comparing Ramesh and Raj. So Ramesh is as tall as Raj. It means Ramesh is also tall and Raj is also tall. Both are tall. They are of the same height. A peacock has dash feathers. Beautiful. Now in this sentence, we are talking about a peacock. Only one peacock. So what sort of feathers does a peacock has? Beautiful. So it will be in the positive. The black pen is the dash. Now when I say the black pen is the dash, I mean there is not only one pen. The is already mentioned. We have more than one pen here or more than 3 pens here. So the black pen is the, we add the before the superlative. When you studied about the article, you have read that we add the before the superlative. The black pen is the smallest. There are a number of words given in the PDF. You can go through them and you can make your own list and also practice to fill in the blanks with the correct degree of comparison. As I said, positive, we talk about one. This is a pen. So it can be small or big. So I'll take, this is a small pen. This red pen is bigger than the black one. And if I take this black is the smallest. Red pen is bigger, or we can say black pen is smaller than the red pen and the black pen is the smallest. Or we can say this blue pen is the tallest, longest, yes, or the biggest. Now, we are going to change sentences from positive to comparative, or positive to superlative, or superlative to positive and superlative, or comparative to positive and superlative. So we are going to change the sentences. When we change the sentences, we cannot change the meaning. And first thing is, we cannot change the adjective which is used. Now as I said this black pen is a small pen. This black pen is small. And I said the blue pen is the biggest. I cannot change the meaning. I have used small for this. So when I write, I'll have to say the black pen is the smallest in superlative. I cannot write the blue pen is the biggest. Now let's see how structures are given. Now here in the positive, we first write the subject, the verb, and as the adjective of comparison is, and as an object of comparison. Here subject, he is as wise as Solomon. Now this, here it is showing that we are talking about he and we are talking about Solomon. Two things are compared here, he and Solomon. So can we say this is in positive or comparative? Here this word wise is given. He is as wise as Solomon. So he is wise as well as Solomon is wise. Both are wise. So we cannot say he is wiser than Solomon. It will be he is as wise as Solomon. So this sentence is in positive degree. Now when we write this positive degree into comparative, the rule is comparison. Here we are comparing subject he and Solomon. So he and Solomon are compared. When we write in comparative, the first thing is position of Solomon and he will change. Solomon will come in subject and he will go in object of comparison. And comparative degree wise. Wise will become in comparative wiser. And it is compulsory to add than in the comparative degree. This is a must. Write this sentence in comparative. As I said, the object will come to subject and subject will go to the object. So it will be Solomon will come in subject and object will go to he. And it is compulsory to add than. When we make a sentence, this is an affirmative sentence, no not in the verb. We have to add in comparison not. Solomon is not wiser than he. If we don't write not, what will happen? Solomon is wiser than he if we write, then it becomes Solomon is wiser and he is not as wise as Solomon. But this sentence says he is wise and Solomon are wise. Both are equally wise. So if we don't write not, it will go wrong. Same way, this sentence, copper is not as useful as iron. Here, copper is compared and iron is compared. And we have used a negative word not. So copper is not as useful as iron. So this clearly implies that iron is more useful than copper. And because this says not useful. And this word useful shows that this sentence is in positive. But when we write this in comparative, we will remove this negative word. It will become copper subject goes to object of comparison and iron comes here. Iron is more useful. Here we add more useful than copper. Than compulsory in both the sentences. Now, such sentences where only two things are talked about, nothing extra is said, we cannot make the superlative of such sentences. But only for this sentence, we can write example 1 can also be written as, without changing, he is not wiser than Solomon. We can write he is not wiser than Solomon. For example, 1 in comparative. Why? Because he is wise and Solomon are wise. Both are wise. So we can also write example 1 in comparison as he is not wiser. We have added the word not. Not wiser than Solomon. Only we haven't changed the subject and the object of comparison. But this sentence cannot be written as the first example. If we write copper is more useful than iron, then it goes opposite to the positive one given, where it is not more useful than, if we write copper is not more useful than iron, it will go wrong because we are already said that iron is more useful, and here also it states that iron is more useful. So second sentence cannot be written as this second sentence, this is a wrong answer. It will go wrong because it clearly states here that iron is more useful than copper. So that answer cannot do. But the first, you may not change the subject and the object of comparison. Superlative. In superlative, the structure is subject, verb, the, as I said, compulsory, plus adjective. So he is the strongest, and strongest word shows that this is in superlative, and we have to add the word the before the adjective that shows that it is in superlative. Now let us take these examples. Here I have written superlative. Shakuntala is the best Sanskrit play. So which word shows that this is in superlative? The word best. And the has to be written before superlative. In comparative, Shakuntala is better than any other Sanskrit play. Here also the word better. And there is the word than. And in positive, no other Sanskrit play is as good as Shakuntala. And we have added here as good as. It also can be written as so good as in positive. Now, here let's see the comparative one. As I said, when we change from positive to comparative, we change the what is compared. Here it is Shakuntala and here it is Sanskrit plays. So in positive, Sanskrit plays, it came first and Shakuntala came last, became the object. Now better became as good as. Comparative of better is as good as. And here is. So there is no negative word here. We have added no other. So this has become negative here. So Shakuntala is better than any other Sanskrit play. Here we have written no other Sanskrit play is as good as Shakuntala. You can, in place of as good as, you can also write so good as Shakuntala. It can be written. And in the superlative, Shakuntala is in the front as subject and Sanskrit play is in the last. So when we change from superlative to positive also, we change this degree. The subject becomes the object and the object becomes the subject. And this best will become good in positive. But if we change from superlative to comparative, we don't need to change the subject and the object of comparison. The two comparisons we do, it will be there in their places, but we have to change this. We have to write the comparative degree and add than. Here, see this sentence and this superlative. Ashoka was one of the greatest of the Indian kings. Here again, this word greatest shows that this is in superlative. Comparative, Ashoka was greater than. And in positive, it is as great as. So it shows they are in. But here, Shakuntala is the best Sanskrit play. That means among all the plays, Shakuntala is the best one. Whereas here it says, Ashoka was one of the greatest of Indian kings. That means there were many kings greater than Ashoka. So, because it is written one of the greatest, in comparative when it is given the best, we write any other. Shakuntala is better than any other. That is, no other play is better than Shakuntala. So we write Shakuntala is better than any other Sanskrit play. But here it is given one of the. So because it is given one of the, we write most other. Ashoka was greater than most other Indian kings. Because it is given one of the, we have to write most other Indian kings. Here also, the subject has remained in the subject and the object here, the subject is the subject and the object, Indian kings, is here in the object. But the change is one of the, because it is one of the, here we write most other. And the subject in the comparative and superlative, has come to the object, and Indian kings has come here, which was the object. And because it is one of the, we have to write very few. That means there were some kings who were not as great as Ashoka. So we write very few Indian kings were as great as Ashoka. Here it is the best, so we write any other and no other in the positive, any other in the comparative and no other in the positive. Here it is in superlative, one of the greatest, so it becomes greater than most other Indian kings. And because it is one of the greatest, it becomes very few Indian kings. So you have to remember these in mind and then do the change of the change the sentences without changing the meaning of the sentence. And neither should you change if it is the adjective is given best, it has to be best, good, better, best, positive, comparative and superlative. We cannot write it best, worse and worst. Best, worse and worst is for bad, worse and worse. So you have to go through them and practice. The PDF is given there. You can copy down the PDF. 7th standard can copy it down in the Fun with Grammar and 8th in the grammar copy.